Episode number 77, Ironman Coeur d'Alene 70.3 with Sherry Rowland. Welcome to the Pursuit of the Perfect Race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Pursuit of the Perfect Race. Today I have the pleasure of talking with my friend Sherry about her recent race at Ironman Coeur d'Alene 70.3. This race took place on June 24th, 2018, where she had a time of 8 hours, 28 minutes, and 31 seconds. Sherry has been doing triathlons for 6 years now. The temperature on race day was 51 and rose to 82 with a wetsuit legal swim. Welcome to the show, Sherry. I look forward to hearing about your race experience.
Thanks.
So what made you want to do this race?
I have a bucket list thing where I'm trying to get a finisher's medal in all 50 states, and this is the year that Idaho landed in the mix.
Okay. So a finisher medal from Ironman races or just any type of race?
No, I have all kind of weird rules. It has to be at least an Olympic or longer, and it has to be at least a half marathon or longer if it's a straight-up road race.
Okay.
And a century ride counts. I don't live long enough to do an Ironman in all of the 50 states.
So how was your training going into this race?
It was good. It was good. I had done Haines City, and that was a challenge. I had a lot of family stuff going on. Getting to the finish, just getting to the start line was a challenge there. And this one, the training went much better.
Okay. Now, did you have a certain plan that you used?
I have a coach.
Okay. Who's your coach?
Richard Schwartz through the BSRX x3 stuff.
Okay. How does he work out for you?
Oh, good. This is my second year with him. I've been very, very pleased.
Good. So going into this race, did you get injured at all?
No, actually I did not. Knock on wood, I've had an injury for a year.
Good. So going into Coeur d'Alene 70.3, what was your training like as far as the biking and the running parts?
I usually cycle on the trainer 1 or 2 times a week. I ride with the roadies on Wednesdays, and I usually have a long ride on the weekend.
Okay.
And then running, we really ramped up the running, getting ready for this one. The run suffered in previous races, and so we worked a lot more on the run this time.
Okay. Are you using heart rate training?
Yes.
Okay. So how does that work for you?
The heart rate training?
Yeah.
It was challenging to learn how to do that. This year, the run has really started to dial in with that. My paces have come down. I'm more comfortable. The bike, it's never been a huge issue with, but the run, it was hard to keep it down in a reasonable rate.
Okay. So what was your longest swim, bike, and runs going into this race?
My longest swim was 4,000, but I will admit that I didn't do a lot of swim prep. And my longest bike was 65 miles. And my longest run, I think, was 10 miles.
So going into this race, did you do a lot of brick training with bricks?
I would say just about every weekend-long ride was followed by a short brick run. Sometimes a long brick run.
Okay. Long brick run, what does that look like for you?
About 6 or 7 miles.
Okay. Did you do a lot of strength training?
I started my fitness journey with strength training. So I pretty consistently still work with the trainer twice a week doing strength.
Okay. Now, if you take a look at your nutrition plan, what were you using for nutrition?
About 2 to 3, maybe 3 years ago, I developed an allergy to meat. It's an aggravating little tick-borne illness, and my nutrition suffered big time when that happened. So I actually hired Own Nutrition, which was a sponsor for Big Sexy Racing last year. I hired them, and I have a meal plan come to me every week. So I follow that, which is beautiful. So I eat 3 regular meals and 2 to 4 snacks a day.
Okay.
And in training, about 2,000 calories a day.
Okay. Now with that, how much does the meal plan or meal prep service cost?
They don't prep for me. They just send me the plan. And I don't know. It's a package thing. I forgot by now. You know, this sport will make you hemorrhage money if you let it.
Oh, for sure. It's very expensive, for sure.
I spend less on the meal plan and groceries now than I did before, because I go into the grocery store with a list. I know exactly what I'm getting. I know exactly what I'm eating. I'm not getting takeout. I'm not eating out. I'm not eating crappy hospital food at the hospital, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Now, in regards to your training, what was the most hours you trained in 1 week going up to this race?
Probably about 15 to 20.
Okay. Now, were there any days where you just mentally didn't want to train?
Oh, well, yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah. So how did you get past those?
Most days I moved it to the evening because it was usually in the morning when I was tired. And some days I just took a mental health break. I just took a break. Okay.
Now, what workouts did you do that gave you the confidence to go into this race prepared?
We did a lot of over-unders on the trainer. I live in a very flat area of the country. I live below sea level, and it's a heavy hill ride when we get 1,000 feet of elevation change over 60 miles. So I tried to get up on the hills as much as I can, but it's a 35-minute drive from me to go do that. And last year I did Santa Cruz, the 70.3 in Santa Cruz. I knew I hadn't gotten through that one, so I figured, I crawled up those hills on Highway 1. I can crawl up just about any hill now.
Okay. So where do you live at?
I live right outside New Orleans.
Oh, wow. So y'all have a lot of fried food down that way, huh?
We do, but I don't eat hardly any of it anymore.
That's good.
A lot of seafood, which is convenient if you can't eat meat.
Yes. So looking at your training overall going into this race, how much of your training was outside versus inside?
I try to go outside as much as I can.
Okay.
Obviously, the weight training is inside. More cycling was inside than I would have liked just because of life, but I would rather be outside. I'm not training, I'm playing, and I don't play riding bicycles inside.
Gotcha. Now, when you're outside, do you use a road ID?
I do.
Good.
And I usually, if I'm going to be riding by myself, I always tell someone I'm out on the roads. There's usually other cyclists out on the roads. I always let one of them know I'm out. Honestly, I don't know how to change a flat tire, so that's part of why I let them know I'm out there, so that if I get a flat, maybe they'll come help me or at least teach me how.
Right. So when you're not training, racing, or going to races or vacationing, what are you doing?
I'm a pediatrician.
Okay.
So I work 3.5 days a week, and then I have 2 kids. One's 26 and one's 21.
Wow.
And I'm married.
Okay. So how big of an issue is balancing life, work, and training?
It's been a big issue this year. Our younger one had gotten very sick in the winter, and it's been a challenge keeping all those balls in the air. At some point, I had to decide that I needed to take care of myself before I could take care of other people.
Okay.
And that was pretty much the mindset going into Coeur d'Alene.
Okay, so how did you balance, how did you know how much time to spend with the family and take care of your son? And you obviously have to work, that's not changing, but your training is probably the one that took the biggest hit then.
The training is what took the biggest hit. My husband is a musician in addition to a physician, so, we're like 2 ships passing in the night a lot of times. And that's probably not optimal, but that's just how it is. And the rest of it, part of why I didn't swim very much was I was worried about being off my phone so that my son couldn't get me. And when I came out of Haines City and before I started for Coeur d'Alene, my sister actually volunteered to take my phone calls while I was in the water. So I started forwarding my phone to her when I went swimming, and that took a lot of pressure off.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and I started doing that on long bike rides too, because it's dangerous to stop and answer your phone.
Very. Now, with this race, what did you have to sacrifice the most that made it hard for you?
Probably keeping more close tabs on the kids. That would probably be the biggest thing. But they are grown-ups, so I should be backing out of that anyway.
Right. Now, this isn't your first time racing this distance because you've been in the sport for a little while now. How was your taper going into this race? I actually got a stomach virus about 10 days before, so my taper got accelerated by 3 days. And we had to shut it down completely for a couple days. Threw in one last long ride. I cheated and put in a decent-sized run just for confidence.
And then I was traveling. So once I got to Coeur d'Alene, we did some short rides and short runs. Got in that water, which was cold.
Right.
Very cold.
So what was your mindset going into this race?
I knew I could finish it, and I was determined to finish it. I also knew that the bike was going to be a big challenge for me, so it was not going to be a PR for a 70.3 for me, but it would be my Coeur d'Alene PR. Really, I was fine. I felt decent, as confident as I've been going into any 70.3.
Okay. So when did you actually start traveling to Coeur d'Alene? Did you drive?
Oh, no. We flew. And my husband actually went with me. He doesn't usually travel with me to races, but he went on this one. And we flew the Tuesday before the race. We flew to Spokane, spent the night there, and then drove the 45 minutes over the next morning.
Okay. So what kind of bike box did you use?
I have a Skycon soft case.
Okay. Do you like it?
I love it.
Any issues with it?
No. This time I watched TSA inspect it when we flew out of New Orleans. I won't do that again because it made me nervous watching her tilt the bike on its side. But no, I didn't have any issues at all. The bike came. Everything was fine.
Good. What kind of bike do you have?
I have a Quintana Roo PR5.
Nice. Do you like it?
I love it. I did my first 5 triathlons. Now, granted, they were sprints, but I did my first 5 on a fat tire.
Oh, wow.
And then I had a road bike. And then a couple years ago, I bought this one.
Okay. Now, whenever you got to Spokane and y'all drove down to Coeur d'Alene, did y'all get an Airbnb or just at a hotel?
Oh, no. If we're going to stay more than 2 days, I get an Airbnb. Well, a VRBO, but yes.
Okay. Now, how far away from the actual race venue did y'all stay?
8 minutes.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was away. I mean, there were no other triathletes around us, and that's kind of where I put myself for these races. I like to be close enough that I can drive there quickly, but not so close that everybody else's nerves start getting into my nerves.
Right. So you get to the Ironman Village on Friday and check in. How was your check-in process?
It was the longest lines I've ever stood in for
really?
a 70.3. I mean, I was in line at the beginning of the thing, and I probably waited 45 minutes to get in.
Wow.
And I was kind of appalled that it was not well organized. There was a bottleneck at the front, and that was a little frustrating, but it is what it is.
Right. So what was your last workout before the race itself?
We have a kind of standard 45-minute thing we do the day before bike check-in, spin out the gears on the bike, run about 20 minutes and get in the water for about 20 to 30 minutes just to kind of get a feel for it. And that's pretty standard what we've done with all these 70.3s.
Okay. And you feel like that works well for you?
Yes. I think if I did nothing, I would be nervous. And if I did much more, I would be nervous. Okay. I would be tired.
That makes sense. Now, did you have any issues with the bike prior to checking it in the day before?
No, none at all. It went back together like a dream. But with that case, all you have to do is put the wheels back on.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Well, I'm not very big, so I don't have to turn my handlebars around or anything.
Wow. Now, did you have a certain meal that you wanted to get the night before the race to prepare you for the race?
Yeah, it's usually chicken breast, broccoli. It's been jasmine rice in the past, but that doesn't settle well because I don't eat it very often. So it was rice pilaf. I usually have a banana about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I've usually eaten other decent carbs through the day. I mean, not like Olive Garden carbs, but, some rice and other things.
Okay. Now, what time did you try to get in bed the night before the race?
Oh, I was in bed and I was asleep by 8:30. And then my son called me at 10:30 my time because he lost the credit card.
Lost the credit card?
Lost his credit card. Yes. So I had to wake all the way up, get online, figure out where he had done his last charge, yell at him for waking me up the night before a race, and send him back to the restaurant where he found the credit card.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I will be demanding a pound of flesh for that at some point.
Gosh. So You get up on race morning. What's your race day ritual look like?
I hate getting up before 4 a.m. I mean, I just don't believe that there is a 3 at that time of the day or a 3:30. So I usually get up at 4. My husband got up at 3:45, made sure we had coffee. I set overnight oats. I get up, I eat those. Everything's packed. Everything's in the car except for fluids, and that's about it. And my bike pump. I don't usually put my bike pump out in the car. Okay. Everything else is ready to go. Transition bag is out there. Everything's out there. Okay. But I woke up that morning with a horrible backache and stomach ache. And in retrospect, we think what I had was a small kidney stone to start my race day.
Really? What gave you that impression?
Well, the nature of the pain, where the pain was going. My husband's also a physician, so, we can pretty much figure these things out on our own. I almost didn't go to the race because of it, but I took some anti-inflammatories, decided to just put one foot in front of the other, go to transition, see how transition went, walk down to the swim, go see how that went, and just kind of walk it out, and it got better. It was there all race day, but it got better.
That makes sense. Now, whenever you get to transition, did you hit a lot of traffic on the way there?
No, not at all. Another thing I'm pretty compulsive about is figuring out where we're going to park and driving it a couple times before. Figuring out which roads are going to be closed, the whole thing. I'm an OCD kind of gal. I like to know exactly where I'm going.
Gotcha. Now, do you have a checklist on the morning of the race to make sure you go through a certain way?
I should. But I didn't this time for some reason.
Okay. So you get a transition. Walk me through what you're doing in transition.
I double check my air pressure, set up the transition area around, check out what other old ladies are right around me, and check the time, hand off my bike pump, start handing off my, for me it was cold. It was 55 degrees. It had been 89 degrees when I left home. So I had a sweatshirt and sweatpants and all that to hand off to my husband. Try to squinch myself into my wetsuit, go to the bathroom about 5 times, that sort of thing.
Right. Now, for this course, what kind of PSI were you using?
I usually run at 100.
100? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use some deep wheels here, or were you just using regular wheels? What wheels were you using?
I have Reynolds Elements, and that's what I train on, and that's what I race on.
Okay. How deep are those?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. No big deal. Now, once you get your transition area set up, are you using an aero helmet for this?
No. I have most of my spine is fused, so being deep in aero is hard. So I, from what I've read, it becomes counterproductive if you're not really able to get down low. So I don't. I have a Rudy's. I don't know. It looks like a bumblebee.
Okay.
I forgot.
No big deal. Now, once you get your transition area set up, you head out and you're using the bathroom a few times, and then you're getting ready to get in the water. Did you get a warm-up swim in?
I did not, because the water was cold. The water was 63 degrees, and I only wanted to get in that water one time. I wanted to get in it, I wanted to swim my swim, and I wanted to get out of it. And because of the pain I was having, I'm not a fast swimmer. So I'm usually about the 45 to 50 minute range. I put myself in the very end group because I wanted to be where there were not going to be a lot of swimmers in the water in case I got in trouble, so that the kayakers and the other people could see me.
Gotcha. So you play it safe then?
I definitely did for this race.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, knowing that you are having the pain, you're basically setting yourself up for a just in case. You want to be in the best possible position to get the help immediately.
Right.
Okay. Now, did you use a sleeveless or a sleeved suit for this?
Oh, no, I have a sleeved. I have a Zone 3 Vanquish.
Okay. Now, did you use tinted goggles or clear goggles?
They're tinted. They're Zone 3 also, the mirrored tinted ones.
Okay. So the gun goes off and y'all hit the water. How does the swim go for you?
When I did my practice swim on the Friday before the race, I started wheezing on that, which has been a problem with cold water before. And sure enough, even though I had hit the inhaler before this race, I hit the water and started wheezing some. I'm not a fast swimmer, but I'm not scared of the water. I'm very comfortable in the water. I know that I can slowly make my way through the whole thing. So I just slowly made my way around. Now, when I got to the midpoint and I checked my watch, I realized that slowly was going to get me a DNF and I needed to pick up the pace.
Wow.
So then it was just go a little bit faster.
Okay. So,
and I don't recall my swim time, but I think it was 106.
It was 103, actually.
Oh, 103. Okay.
Yeah. So now the buoys, they're lined up basically in a rectangle, right?
Yes.
So you go out, you take a left, take another left, and come right back, right?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever you started heading back, how was the water? Was there a lot of chop? Was it nice and smooth?
There was chop up at the turn because it's deeper down there. And it also tasted like diesel down there. There were seaplanes land in that area during the day, and that's where the big boats are. So that was kind of nasty. But once we came back, it really wasn't that choppy.
Okay. Did you drink any of the water there?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, I always do. I can't imagine that I didn't.
Right. Now, you get done with the swim. This is a sand exit, right?
Yes.
And so you get out and you take advantage of the wetsuit strippers?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and this is the first time they've actually had wetsuit strippers here.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, being that I'm from the deep south, I mean, I had a neoprene cap, I had booties. If they'd have let me have on gloves and a muffler, I'd have had that on too.
So you get out of the swim, you take advantage of all that, then you finally get to your bike. How does T1 go for you?
Well, I thought it went pretty smoothly until I saw my time. And then I thought, okay, we're going to have to practice that a little more. What is it, like 8 or 9 minutes? You got the time in front of you. 9
and some change?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to change a few things.
What are you going to change?
Well, I didn't pre-apply sunscreen before I went in. Before I put on my wetsuit, I did not put on my sunscreen. I'll do that this time. In the future, I didn't put the lube on before. Being that I'm usually one of the last out of the water and the last on my rack, usually people have disturbed my area some. I just need to learn to rock with that and not let it rattle me. And I was cold. My teeth were chattering for the first 5 miles of the bike.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. Now, you get out on the bike. How does the first few miles of the bike ride go for you?
Except for being cold, it was great. We had driven the whole bike course, so I knew what was in front of me. Okay. And the first 10 miles they're not horrible. They're rollers.
Okay. Did you have a strategy on how Richard wanted you to tackle the bike ride?
I'm sure that he had one, but Richard's had a phone mishap, which I did not know what had happened until after the race. And we were actually not able to talk before the race. And this is the third 70.3 I've done under his coaching. So I pretty much had and we trained. So I had a good idea what he would want me to do, where he would want my heart rate, so that I didn't burn it all up on the bike. And that's pretty much what I stuck to.
Okay. Now, what kind of cadence or power number were you trying to hit?
I have a power meter, but we have not started using it for training. I just got it. Okay. So I had not used it that way. I had still been doing only heart rate training. My computer screen on my bike, though, the screen that had the heart rate also had speed. And I know myself well enough to know that when I got to the big hills on the 40-mile loop, that when I started crawling up those hills, I was going to be dejected at the speed. And you can go up a hill with any amount of training, but coming down takes practice. You have to get past that fear thing. And I knew that going fast was going to scare me. So I flipped the screen off of that and went based on power that I knew had the heart rate he usually wanted me to run, if that makes sense.
It does. Now, what kind of heart rate were you going to hit then?
Usually it's about 135 to 140 on the bike.
Okay. Now, is that a certain percentage of your max heart rate?
It probably is, but I have a coach, so I don't have to figure that out. I have enough to take care of.
Right. So how are the first few miles of the bike ride, aside from chattering and kind of getting ready for the rest of the bike ride?
Oh, it was nice. It was pretty. I wasn't by myself. There were I wasn't by myself going out. Now coming back was kind of interesting because I make the turn back, and as I'm about at mile, I don't know, I'm on the first turn back, and the run course also ran along that same route. And I look up and Matt Hansen's out on the run.
Wow.
I know. And what are you going to do except say, go you?
Wow. I mean, that's almost a little crazy how somebody that started just a touch above you as far as where everybody started is already on the run when you're just getting ready for the bike ride.
Well, he got in the water, it looks like about 45 minutes before me. And they had, around a 30-minute swim is what I looked at. And I'm sure he's not scared of flying down the hills.
Right.
And I'm sure his power number is a little better than mine.
Makes sense. Now, with the rest of the course for the bike, how did that go for you?
We had also driven that part. I knew it was going to be, there were 6% grades for miles at a time going up, and I knew that. I have been scared of heights in the past. I was glad that I wasn't scared of heights. I never stopped. I never walked my bike. That was one of my goals, was that I was not going to do that. I did manage to grind past a couple people going up, and they were nice enough to pass me coming down. It was all right. It really was.
Okay.
It was a beautiful day.
How was the nutrition that you used?
It was fine. I do the same thing training that I do on the bike. I use the F2C products still. I drink about 20 ounces an hour. It's a mixture of the hydrodurants and the glycodurants. And then I eat Cliff blocks, a whole package of those about every half hour. I've gotten a whole package in.
Okay, so do you have an idea of how many calories you're trying to get per hour?
I don't know how many calories it is, but for me, it's more about the carbohydrates.
Okay. Now, how are the aid stations?
I don't stop at the bike aid stations unless I need water, and I did not on this one.
How was the quality for the roads here?
It was a highway. It was good. The roads were good quality. The road was open, but with one lane closed. So I never felt like I was being buzzed by trucks.
That's good.
Yes.
Did you see a lot of flats on the bike ride?
I think I saw 2.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. Of course, I was at the back of the bike.
All right. Now, how do you know how hard to push in the earlier stages of the bike ride so that way you don't fall off on the backside of the bike?
I just pretty much keep my heart rate in that same range.
Okay.
And that's from training, because we go on long rides.
That makes sense. As far as the bike ride goes, is there anything that you'd tell someone to be aware of that hasn't done this course before?
If you're coming from training in flat area, you need to be aware that there's no pass zones. I'd never encountered that before. And there was one place that it said to get out of aero bars, and they were handing out penalties for that.
Really? That's
what they said at the athlete briefing. Did they do it? I don't know. They didn't give me one because I wasn't in my aero bars.
Okay, so looking back on it, how did you execute your bike strategy?
My personal strategy, I thought, went well.
Okay.
I knew I was bumping up again on the time limit there. So, I had to get a little braver coming back down than I probably would have. But it was fine. I had fun.
Okay. The final mile or two on the bike ride, are you doing anything to prepare you for the run?
I'm usually trying to finish out whatever fluids I have on the bike. And if I've still got a clip block in there, I'm usually either eating it or shoving it in my sports bra for the run. Basically unpacking my picnic basket. And I do try to get into a lower gear and start spinning out my legs.
Okay. Now, whenever you start spinning out your legs, are you just raising your cadence above what you call normal? Or are you just...
Yes. Yeah, I usually try to get it up around 90 or 100 coming down.
Okay. So you get to T2. How does T2 go for you?
I thought T2 went much better. What do you see?
I see a little about 4.5-ish.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
For me, it's good. It was 8 minutes in Haines City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing there.
Hanging out, making a sandwich?
Flirting? I don't know.
Don't tell your husband that now.
Yeah.
So you get to the run. How's the run start for you?
The run started good. I mean, I ran out of transition. There are crowds at the beginning. I ran through that, and I ran until there weren't very many crowds and I could walk with pride.
Now, I'm sure you're not the only one that did that.
I'm sure I'm not.
Did you have a strategy that you wanted to execute for the run, though?
Usually in the run, we try to run 10 beats above and for the first 10 miles and then open up on the last 3. The run was also hillier than I'm used to. But I mean, that's what I tried to do. I tried to keep my heart rate under 150 in the first 10 miles.
Okay. Now, did the aid stations here have everything you needed?
They had Pepsi instead of Coke. I'm not drinking Pepsi. That's nasty.
I have not heard that before.
And yes, it was gross.
Wow.
But other than that, it was fine. I have a neoprene collapsible bottle that I also put that same I call it failure to cross, but that's not, you know what
First
I mean.
to cross.
Thank you. I put that in the neoprene bag, and I think I took some water. They had ice. I think I took it once. You know, mid-80s is not impressive to me.
Right. You're used to closer to 100, if not above 100.
Yes. Yeah. As far as heat index, yes.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm over here in Texas, and it's 100 degrees today. It's warm.
Yeah. Well, it's raining here, but yeah.
Lucky. Now, you get about halfway through the run. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like this was a really dumb idea. I'm going to be honest. About 4 miles from the end, I was thinking this was a really dumb idea. And I had no idea where I was race time because, of course, I had messed up my Garmin. So I had no idea how much time I'd been on the clock. I wasn't sure when I had gotten in the water, and I knew it was going to be close. It was going to be really close. And about mile 4, I didn't think I could make it, but then they started coming around saying we were all going to make it.
Okay. Now, looking back on it, do you wish you would have made like a mental note of what time you got in the water?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I wish I would learn how to know which button to push on my Garmin consistently in triathlon mode, because I have yet to get that straight on a race.
Okay. I remember I talked with, I want to say it was Kitty Cole, about her race earlier this year. No, I think it was actually Chris DeRoche about her race at Super Seal, and she was fumbling with her watch on the same way, but she doesn't like to use the transitions on there. She wants it to automatically go to the next sport instead of the transitions in there.
Right.
So,
I knew I had messed mine up, so I'd already turned off the triathlon mode and put it to pure run so that I had some kind of way to know what I was doing on the run.
Gotcha. So, how hard did you push in the middle miles versus the last few miles?
I would say the middle miles were probably a 6 and the last 3 were probably an 8 when I realized it was close. And I came up on a guy. I don't remember I think it was Army. He was wearing an Army. He was obviously an Army guy. And we started talking and sharing stories, and he was dying. And so every time I came up on him, I'd push him on his back to get him running again. And every time he came up on me, he'd push me on my back to get running again. And I think the two of us just kind of got us across the finish line.
Okay. Now, how are the hills on the run course?
They're horrible if you live in flatland. On the bike, I would have called them false flats. On the run, they were terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's that first loop on the bike is a good bit of the run. So those rollers felt like mountains by the end of the day.
That makes sense. Now, as far as the support on the course, not the people that were volunteering or officiating, but the actual support on the course, how was that?
You mean the crowd?
Yeah, the crowd.
When you're in, it's 2 loops. When you're near town, there's a good bit of crowd. Part of the run is past this, it looks like a city park with playgrounds and a dog park, and all those people were clapping and yelling for you. That was good. And what I liked was they were still out there, even for those of us in the back.
Right. Did you feel welcomed as part of the race?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. If you think back on the funny things that you saw during the race, what was the funniest thing that you saw?
The funniest thing that I saw during the race? The guy standing next to me in the swim start. I mean, this dude signed up for the race the day before.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, did you train? He said, no, not really. Like, are you serious? Well, he was from that area, but still, he hadn't really trained. He hadn't done hardly any running. And he made himself be the last person in the water. I have no idea how he did. I don't know if he finished. I don't know if he didn't finish. Everybody got out of the water. I do know he got out of the water. But other than that, that's probably the funniest thing. I found that very amusing.
Wow. Did you get his name?
No, I forgot to do that. I was real nervous before the swim because I was still hurting. And I had started talking to some other gentleman there, and I had something happen to me before the swim that I've never had happen. We started talking, and I said I was nervous, and I started crying. I never do that once I'm at the race venue. At home before I leave the house, oh yes, it's not pretty. But once I get to the race venue, never standing in line. But I started crying, and I was so embarrassed that... And he took it well. I mean, he just changed the subject and made jokes and took my mind off of it. But because I was so distracted by my emotional response, I did not think to get the other guy's name.
Wow. Now, it's funny that you mentioned this guy because I interviewed Danielle Dingman about her race here, and she's a pro, and she was checking in for the race, and she talked to a gentleman that signed up that day for the race. And
the day of the race? Or
the day before.
It's probably the same guy.
It could be the same guy. What did this guy look like?
I mean, he wasn't young. I think he was balding. Hard to tell, you know. They're all wearing caps, wetsuits, and goggles.
Right. Everybody looks the same, basically.
Yes.
The one with the swimsuit on.
Right. I do remember he had on a long sleeve wetsuit because I remember thinking, well, at least you're not totally nuts.
All right. Now, looking back on it, mentally, how hard was this race for you?
Training was hard because of the stuff with our son. The race itself mentally was good until that last couple, from about 4 miles before the end and 6 miles before the end. That 2 mile section was rough. That was a dark space, but you get there in almost every race. You really do. Otherwise, I mean, I was content. I know I was a minute and a half from being a DNF, but for me, I was very content with the race.
Right. Now, that dark space, how would you describe that dark space for you?
For me, it's a lot of, I made all these sacrifices. You know, I've spent all this money. We took all this vacation time, and I'm going to get a DNF. I can't believe I'm going to get a DNF. And I spend about 2 miles going, I can't believe I'm going to get a DNF. And then I'm like, oh, no way. I'm not getting a DNF. I'm not going to. I have a good friend who got me into triathlon, and she has this saying, death before DNF. And so I just kind of channel her voice in my head, death before DNF. And I have yet to have a race. I have not sprinted across the finish line.
Gotcha. Now, with this dark space that you were in, those 2 miles, I really hardly ever hear anybody really talk about this, and you mentioned it, so I really want to know a little bit more about it. With that, were you getting emotional in there, kicking yourself in the butt? Was there a lot of support around? The crowd, were they around?
No, the crowd was not around in there. It was in part of the neighborhoods where there are not many crowds. Nobody else was on the second loop. I mean, there were no people. The run course was less crowded because it was only people on the second loop, not people on the first and the second loop. I didn't really know any other athletes in the race. There were a couple other big, sexy teammates, but they're like super fast and super young, and they were done by the time I went out on the run. Some of it is I'm tired. You've poured all this for me, I've poured a whole lot of emotional energy into it, and I've run out. I've run out of endorphins, and I'm probably a little hungry by then. And I've learned that if I can just keep putting one foot in front of the other, that I'm going to get another endorphin kick right at the end. But I have to know it's there. And that's only because this is my 6-half Ironman that I know that it will be there.
Right. So did you get emotional during that time frame?
Nope. Nope. Usually I do cry in that time frame, but I wasn't going to cry because I had that stupid cry at the beginning of the swim.
Okay. So you've been here before?
Yes.
And is there like a pivotal thought or idea that will change your attitude, or what is it like to whenever it changes towards the end?
I think one of the biggest reasons that it hits me then is because it's lonely by then. Being a back of the pack person, it's usually lonely at that point in the race. And once I can start to hear people who are still out, then that helps. Having the race crews start to come around. Now, it is dejecting that they're picking up the cones, but at least they're out there checking on you. I don't feel like if I fall down and die on the side of the road that no one's going to be there to get me. And I usually, my father's been gone for many years, but he was very into fitness, and around there is usually when I feel him again.
Really?
Yeah. And he used to call me George. And I hear him, come on, George, you can do this.
Wow. What's it like to feel him there?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. My bike is named George.
Wow.
Because of that.
That's powerful. The last 800 yards before the finish line, you've obviously gotten through all of this emotional and mental battle. How is the last 800 yards?
Oh, it's wonderful. I love to run that last 800 yards. There's people, they're yelling. They start calling your name. I mean, I'm 57 years old. They always announce my age, which is cool. I mean, if it used to bother me when I was 55. Now it doesn't. I like that. I wish they said I was from New Orleans instead of Pearl River, but whatever. It is what it is.
All right. So after you finished, what'd you do after you crossed the finish line?
Sat down. They kept asking me, do you need medical? I said, no, I need a chair. I need to sit down.
Wow.
I wasn't hurting anymore. I sit down.
Wow. So you're obviously back home. How was your recovery process?
It's been good. We pretty much took the whole week off. I did some strength training about 4 days after the race. I did a trail run. 6 days after the race, I jumped into a 5K trail run. And yesterday, we were back training. Okay.
Now, looking back on it, how well prepared for this race do you think you were?
I think it was well prepared. I don't think I could have done much different with life, with work, with everything else. I really don't think I could have put more time in.
Okay.
Nutrition was on point. I took much better care of myself before this race than I have in other races. So I felt good about it.
Okay. So what's something that you learned from this race that you like to pass on to someone who hasn't done this particular race before?
This particular race, you have to be really careful not to burn all your matches on the bike. Those uphills are nothing. I mean, everybody says it's a rough race. I don't know why I didn't read the actual description that Ironman puts out, because when they say they're rollers, they're mountains. When they say it's a challenging bike course, it's Coeur d'Alene or Wisconsin. And I should have paid more attention to that.
Okay. So for first timers that are doing this race, what advice would you give them?
I would say that this is not a race for a first timer who lives where there's not elevation. I know that people on the West Coast and in the Pacific Northwest and probably even, in the Tennessee and all that, it's a perfect first time race for them. There's a lot of support. The town is very welcoming. I never felt like we weren't welcome. Never. Nobody yelled anything rude to us on the bike course. Never. In fact, the only things yelled to us were support. And this is from people who were stuck in traffic.
Wow.
So, yeah, I thought that was nice.
There's not too many races like that anymore.
No. I did Santa Cruz last year, and people yelled at us. They were kind of mean to us. But this one, I felt like they were very welcoming.
Good. Now, how could Ironman have made your race experience better as an athlete?
They have got to do something about the way they had check-in. There's plenty of room in that park. I don't know why it was bunched up so much. I think they need, honestly, if it were me, I would have put another tent up and spread out the tables, because there was a bottleneck right then from when you pick up your thing and then you have to sign your waiver and then go back and they have to explain to you every single time that you just said, yes, my family can find out about my medical condition. I just thought it was too bunched up.
You know, I've heard this before on this. I mean, I'm almost 80 episodes in, thereabout, and it seems like that Ironman could actually email you the week before with your information. Hey, print this off, sign X, dot one of these, and just bring it with you. That would save them the money of printing it all out. And
Yes.
you just bring your paper. Hey, it's already signed, it's already initials, and you've already read over it. You know what the deal is. It's not like, even for first timers, you're not going to give them much attention anyway. Those volunteers there are really just saying the same thing over and over on deaf ears.
Yes, and it could almost be a marketing tool for one of the vendors in the expo to set up some wireless printers.
Yeah.
So that you could print that thing right off your telephone and sign them before you ever got up there.
Exactly. I agree. Now, we covered a lot. Do you have anything else to add about your race?
I think that it's important for people to understand that you don't have to be a certain age to do this sport. You know, they're called age groupers because we're grouped in ages. You know, there's a camaraderie when you get above 50. There's a camaraderie in the women. We start to recognize each other's names. I don't see the cutthroat stuff that I hear people describing in some of the younger age groups. It's more like, hey, we've dumped our kids. Let's go have fun. And that's pretty much how it is. I don't know what the men are talking about. I don't care what the men are talking about over in the same age group. They're probably still being very competitive. But it's a fun sport, and it's a sport that's accessible to just about everybody. You're just going out and doing the things you did as a kid. You're jumping on your bike, you're riding up to the community pool, you're going swimming, you're going running, you're going back out to the playground. And that was my childhood, and that's what I'm doing again.
Wow. Basically make you feel like a kid again.
Absolutely. And people who know me say that I'm aging backwards and they attribute it to doing this.
Oh, that's good. So what races are on your bucket list?
Well, for this year or forever?
Forever.
Well, for this year, I have another 70.3 in September. And I'm doing my first full this year. I'm doing Arizona.
Really? That's in November.
Yes, I know. And I realize it's July. So, that's why I'm already training again. Like I said, I'm trying to get something from all 50 states. I want to do the marathon in Alaska. There's a midnight marathon in July in Alaska that I want to do. I might do that next year. And I'm hoping I can stay in this sport long enough that I'm old enough that I could actually go to Kona, honestly.
Wow.
I mean, the nun did. Why can't I?
Exactly. So what races are on your bucket list that nobody knows about?
Well, if I tell you, they'll know about them. My sister has this one she wants me to go to with her. It's in South America. I'm not as interested in that. I would like to go to New Zealand.
Really?
Yes. I haven't told my family, and they won't listen to this anyway, so I can say it on here, that when I retire, I would like to go down and do New Zealand.
Is it Ironman New Zealand that you want to do?
Yes.
So I actually had a few people on that did that race earlier this year.
Uh-huh.
And they said it was just beautiful.
Yes, that's what I've seen. I've seen all the pictures. I'd have to be retired because I'd want to go spend, 3 months in that part of that hemisphere.
Wow. Well, I think you should do the one with your sister. I mean, my brother, he does not do endurance sports at all. I've asked him to do a marathon with me, and he just shuts that down immediately. And I'm like, you just got to do it with me one time, and he's like, no, and just doesn't want to do any of it. And I'm just like, come on, just once, let's do this together, make it a memory, and just doesn't want to do it. I mean, I think you should take advantage of that with your sister, just because it would be a great memory.
I don't think you understood. She just wants to be the Sherpa.
Oh.
She just wants to piggyback on my trip.
Oh, that's a little different.
Yes. I could tell her that she has to race, and then I would do it.
There we go. A little bit of motivation.
We've done a few sprints together. I got her to do a few sprint races. So
wow.
Maybe I can convince her.
So aside from Arizona, what's next for you?
I'm doing Hotter in Hell Century Ride in, what is that, Wichita Falls, Texas. I'm doing that. I'm doing Red Man, the 70.3 in Oklahoma. I have a friend that I've convinced I want her to do a sprint, but she said she doesn't want to run. So I'm doing a relay with her next weekend. Just a little sprint thing. And probably that's about it. My coach tells me I can't sign up for any more races.
Jeez. So I only have a few more questions for you. One is, how can athletes follow you?
I'm on Facebook as Sherry Rowland. I'm on Instagram at Doc Sherry, and I don't remember what my Twitter handle is, but I never post on it anyway. So those would be the two ways.
Okay. So I only have one more question, and that's, what's your definition of a perfect race?
I think a perfect race is one you have fun at. And that sounds silly, but a lot of times I see these people at the beginning, and they just look like they're not having any fun. And maybe that is their fun, but they're not smiling. And I think you should have fun with it.
Right. I mean, almost like Michelle Vesterby, where she says, keep smiling.
Yes, exactly.
And do you follow her?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Her mentality, I've been following her on Instagram lately, and it's so funny just the way that she approaches her workouts. I mean, she'll be at the pool and just be like, my friend was supposed to be here, and they're not. I'll just swim without them. Whatever. I mean, it's so funny.
Yes.
Wow. Well, Sherry, I just want to thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I've enjoyed hearing about your experience and really learning a lot more about you and how you approach races and what you go through in the races. I've really enjoyed hearing about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I look forward to following you in the future, and good luck at Arizona. I'd love to have you back on afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Have a good day, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.